Well, hi there, everybody. Welcome to Rediscovering Your Passion and Purpose with Patty. As you know, I am Patty Stuhlin, your host, and I am the Chief Pathfinder of Pathways with Patty. Today, my incredible guest is Priscilla Hanley. She is a former U.S. Army soldier who previously served on Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan. She is now the founder and owner of Pristine Soul Healing, LLC. Priscilla is a podcast host for the Resiliency of the Human Spirit podcast. She is also a woman's forgiveness and transformation coach, as well as a Reiki Master. Priscilla's spiritual awakening began in 2019, and since then, she has participated in several spiritual workshops and galactic contact retreats. Priscilla believes that humans have always been connected to the galactic community, and we are currently reestablishing contact with our galactic family. Priscilla has and continues to contact experiences with galactic and angelic beings. Well, Priscilla, it is wonderful having you here today. And before I get much further into our conversation today, I want to thank you so much for you and your service to our country. I greatly appreciate it. And I know the majority, if not every single one of our listeners out there, also want to say thank you for your service.
Thank you, Patty. I appreciate it.
Well, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
You know, it is a sunshiny winter day. I know that this is not going to be, down. People aren't listening to this during the winter time. It's going to be summer, but it's a beautiful sunshiny day. That's why I'm calling it a terrific Tuesday, this day that we're doing this recording. Because
Nice.
being here with you makes it even more terrific.
Aw, that's so sweet.
So, when we met a couple months ago and talking about your story originally, um, I could relate on so many levels of your story, but aside from that, what I related to the most is that knowing that each part of your journey that you're going to be sharing today, you kept knowing and realizing that no matter what life brought you to knock you down, you got back up because you knew there was something else in the future for you to do, and where you were supposed to be in rediscovering or discovering what your passion and purpose is. So with that said, I would love for you to share your story with our audience.
Thank you, Patty. Thank you for having me today. I'm really happy to be here.
Mhm.
So my story, let me start from the beginning, okay? So I was born and raised in Singapore. I'm the only child to both my parents, and I was born in a Catholic family. I had very strong Catholic upbringing. And my family was also a dysfunctional family. Both my parents had a lot of marriage problems, so I did not really get the emotional support from my parents when I was younger. And so, growing up was kind of turbulent. But then when I was 21, I decided to get married because I wanted to get out of the house. I met my first husband when I was 16,
Okay.
and we started dating quickly. And so we were dating for about 5 years before we got married. And after I got married, I thought everything would be okay. It was for a couple years, but then, the red flags started to happen after a couple years. And
How old were you then when you got married? You met at 16, and what age were you when you got married?
21.
Oh, 21. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So got married, and then, like I said, a couple years into the marriage, there were a lot of red flags. There was a lot of emotional abuse. But, being like in my early 20s, I was so naive and timid, and I was just really dependent on my first husband. So I took the emotional abuse. I didn't know better. I just took it. And then year number 9 comes in our marriage. And at that point, I was so tired of the emotional abuse. And so I just filed for divorce, year number 9. And then the divorce took about a year to, be finalized. So after 10 years of marriage, we both went our own separate ways. And obviously I was depressed, I was heartbroken, I was, like beaten down. I did not
Mm-hmm.
have any self-esteem. So I turned to the Catholic faith so that I could find my way back home, right? My way
Mm-hmm.
back to wherever I needed to be. So I started going to church a lot because well, I couldn't turn to my parents because they were having their own problems. So I
Mm-hmm.
turned to my faith. I started going to church a lot, and the Catholic teachings were okay for me in the beginning until they weren't okay anymore.
Right.
So
Mm-hmm.
when I started going to church a lot, it felt like, I guess I was starting to awaken in that point because I started to feel like, I feel like I'm not enough all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I just got really tired of the fear-based teachings and the not enoughness. And so I guess I told the universe at that time, but I wasn't really talking to God, but I just said, I don't want a God who judges me or thinks I'm not enough. So I just kind of left the church. I left religion, and I made up my mind to not, get into another religion. I was not into spirituality. I was just kind of like in limbo. I was just like, I want to be a free thinker and just figure things out myself.
Mm-hmm.
So, and at that point, I also did not want to enter into another relationship with another man because like I said, I was heartbroken and, just wanted time for myself to regroup. So,
Mm-hmm. Well, plus it also sounds like he had really beat you down emotionally.
yeah,
Like you said, you felt like you did not have any self-esteem, which also leads into you believing you had no self-worth either.
correct. Yep, correct.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess at that point, I was really tired of life. I just kind of wanted my own time and just to figure things out. So then I got myself a job, and my boss at that time was an American man. And then I was working there for a few months. And after a few months of working there, my boss's friend, who was also an American man, he came to visit my boss in Singapore for a
Mm-hmm.
vacation. So my boss's friend, comes into the office and he sees me because I share the same office with my boss. And, he started talking to me. And long story short, we started to become fast friends. And like I said, at that time, I did not want to have a relationship, but I guess the universe had other plans for me. So, so this man goes back home to Florida, and I think he was smitten by me, and he started emailing me. I thought he was a wonderful man, So
Mm-hmm.
I started responding, and we started communicating via email. And and then I just felt like he was a really wonderful man and I trusted him. So after a few months of communicating via email, he proposed. He's like, okay, your birthday is in May. Let me come down to Singapore for your birthday. And I was like, oh my God, what just happened there, right? So I said, okay, if you want to come, that's fine. So he comes back to Singapore, and we spend, about a week together, and we had such a lovely time. And at that point, we just kind of felt like it felt right. So we just decided to be together, to be a couple.
Mm-hmm.
And so he comes down in May, he spends about a week with me, and then he goes back to Florida. And Patty, in June, when June comes around, I put my whole life in a suitcase and I just said goodbye to my parents and I just left for Florida.
A leap of
Right.
faith.
I did. I did. And it felt right. It felt right at that time. If I had an ounce of fear, I wouldn't have done it. But I just had this feeling that it was right, and he was a good man. So I go to Florida, and then we get married. Everything's lovely. We have a very happy marriage, and then lo, 4 years passed by. One day I wake up in the morning and I just thought to myself, it's like, wow, 4 years have passed by, like in this marriage, and I haven't done anything for myself, right? It's like, yeah, I've been to traveling, I've gone on vacations, but I haven't done anything to achieve for myself. So I felt like I either wanted to go back to school or I wanted to go get a job. So a family member at that time told me, why don't you join the army? The army is a really good deal for you because you get free education, you travel around the world, and you get to do a lot of cool stuff. So that appealed to me at that time. And so I said, okay, sounds like a plan. So I went down to the recruiters and long long story short, I signed up to the army on active duty.
So at this time you're what, in your 30s?
Yeah, I was in my 30s. Yep.
So it's not like you're just out of high school. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
you're an adult.
Yeah, I was no spring
Decision.
chicken.
Yeah.
Let's just say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I was like in my mid 30s, if I'm not wrong. So then, they shipped me off to Oklahoma in the dead of winter for basic training.
Well, what did your husband think of this when you told him
He
you
was
wanted to join the army?
he was fine with it. He's like, well, if you think that's what you want to do, go for it. He's a very supportive man. So
Wow.
yeah. So he let me just do my thing. And so
Uh-huh.
I get to Oklahoma. It's wintertime. And like I said, I'm from Florida, right? I lived in Florida, and Oklahoma winter, Florida winter.
Well, even in Singapore, I wouldn't think you would have like an
Exact.
Oklahoma weather system, right?
No, Singapore is like tropical weather, right?
Yeah.
So I get to Oklahoma and there's snow all around, and I was like, whoa, what did I just get myself into, right? And so when I got to basic training, it was the conditions were very harsh because you get yelled at and you kind of like, they're just kind of breaking you down so that they can build you up into a
Right.
soldier.
Yes.
So there was emotional abuse again in the army, right? Because you get yelled at, you get called names and stuff. So, but I took it. I had no choice. I had to take it. And, I just played the game. I never said anything, and I never talked back. And so they kind of left me alone. So that was how I survived, because I just kept my mouth shut. So I stuck it out, and, my journey with the army lasted 8 years. I did my federal service for 8 years, and then traveled all around the world. And then in 2016, I found myself in Afghanistan. And, needless to say, that was an eye-opener. It was a very rough experience. So I was there for 9 months.
Wow.
And I got back to the States in middle of 2017. And then when I got home, I knew that I was so burned out, emotionally burned out and physically burned out, that I made the decision when I got home that I wanted to separate from the military, because I just knew in my heart that I wanted to do something else, and I didn't want to deploy again. I did not want to put myself through another experience of deployment. So I made a decision to leave, fulfill my contract and leave. So in 2019, I separated from the army, and I had a job. I got a job contracting for the federal government. But then before I started that job, my mother-in-law was taken ill. She had cancer. And so they put her in a hospice, and obviously, we were there. And not long after that, she passed. So when she passed, that's when I really started questioning about everything, about life, about death, because I just felt like you were here a few hours ago and now you're gone. Like, where did you go?
Yes.
Where are you? Right?
Right. Right.
Right. So I started to question, and I really thinking back now, my mother-in-law's passing was really the catalyst for me
Mm-hmm.
into my spiritual awakening.
Mm-hmm.
So I started opening myself up to getting answers. So I read a lot of books, and then I stumbled upon Gaia TV. Have you heard of Gaia TV?
No, have not.
Okay, that's like a like subscription TV, and it's
Mm-hmm.
all about spirituality.
Okay.
It's pretty cool. So
Okay.
yeah, stumbled upon Gaia TV. I signed up, and man, my mind was blown because it's all about all kinds of spirituality topics, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I immediately zoomed into this program. It's called Interview with the Extra Dimensionals. I immediately zoomed into that program. And so I was immediately drawn to three channelers in that program. The first one was Paul Selleck. The second one was Jamie Price. And the third one was Lisa Royal Holt. So I resonated with what they were saying in that program. So I started to dig deeper into their work. So Paul Selleck is a phenomenal channel, and he channels the Melchizedek Collective, and it's all about expanding your consciousness. And they talk a little bit about, they talk a lot about our divinity and Christ consciousness. And then Jamie Price is a phenomenal light language channeler, and I took her light language class. And Lisa Royal Holt has been channeling galactic energy since the 1980s.
Mm.
And so she channels a lot of like ET energy.
Mm.
So I found Lisa to be really, really intriguing. So yeah, these three people, I followed their work for a while. And I really felt like at some point I really like kind of resonated more with Lisa
Mm-hmm.
Royal Hall, and the
Mm-hmm.
other two kind of like fell away. So I started getting into a lot into Lisa's work. So I started purchasing her contact meditations on
Mm-hmm.
audio, the audio files on her website. And so I started listening to her audios before going to bed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the first couple times I listened to it, nothing much happened, but like the third time I listened to it, and then I fell asleep. And then in the wee hours of the morning, Patty, no kidding, like I had this big like cinema screen just kind of like, you know, show up in my face. And I saw the words. It was very quantum looking. It was blue and quantum energetic looking. And the words said, love, peace, joy. They were huge words. And then the words dissipated, and then it changed into like the star systems, like the zodiac signs. And I was witnessing all this with my third eye,
Mm-hmm.
because both my eyes were like, my physical eyes were closed because I was like asleep, but I was not asleep. I was actually conscious, and I was just looking, witnessing this through my third eye.
Mm-hmm.
So then after that, a few seconds later, the energy dissipated. So when I woke up in the morning, I was like, what the heck just happened, right?
Am I going crazy or what's happening?
Right. So, I just sensed that it had to do with Lisa's contact meditation, because I mean, I just started listening to it. So I just felt like maybe something was trying to make contact with me. So
Mm-hmm.
I kept on listening to her contact meditations like every night before going to bed.
Mm-hmm.
So lo and behold, after a few weeks, like the ETs started visiting, extraterrestrial beings. And I've at this point, Patty, I've seen so many ET beings that have visited me. Some of them look human, some of them not so much. And they're like the Syrians, the Pleiadians, and some of them, like I said, they don't look human, so I don't really know where they're from. And I have also started to astral travel. So I witness myself as pure consciousness, traveling at the speed of light in deep space. And then I somehow peer into other parallel realities. I go into like different dimensions, and I just witness myself as just consciousness, and I'm just like suspended in midair, and I'm just kind of like witnessing, like the what's happening around me. So for example, I'll give you an example. Recently, it was actually just a couple weeks ago that I astral traveled, and I guess I went into some other dimension because I saw like a little person. Okay, like I guess Star Wars, they have the
Yes,
Ewoks.
yes, they're
Yeah.
adorable.
Yeah, I saw a little person that looks like an Ewok.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was so that was like it blew my mind. So anyway, yeah, I've been astral traveling a lot. So what else? Yeah.
Well, if I
Okay.
can interject here for a
Yeah.
second, um, so do you feel that these galactic beings that they're channeling, they're using you to channel a message, or what is it that you feel like? Why do you believe that they are contacting you? What do you believe the purpose is?
Okay, because number one, I think I put out the invitation when I started listening to the contact meditations. I
Okay.
think energetically I put out the invitation that I
That you are
want.
willing to receive it.
Right, right.
Okay.
And number two, I just want to say, I think all these beings that I'm seeing, they're actually fractals of myself, my
Oh,
soul's essence,
oh.
because our soul, like you, Patty, I'm Priscilla, we're not just one being. Our
Mm-hmm.
soul is massive, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you, Patty, you're just like, or me, I'm just like a speck, a pinprick
Yes.
of our soul's essence. So I feel like I'm making contact with other aspects of my soul,
Mm-hmm.
who are in other dimensions and, living out their realities in other parallel
And do you think that,
dimensions.
and do you feel that this is creating a more whole feeling of you and your being and
Yep.
what you are placed here for, or what your purpose is?
Yeah, that's a good question because when I see them, I don't feel any fear whatsoever. I have no fear. I actually feel a lot of love for them, and I feel their love for me as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think honestly, this is something that I agreed to prior to incarnation for me to have these experiences.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I'm sensing so that I can help talk about it like what I'm doing with you right now
Mm-hmm.
and help to expand human consciousness at this time.
So when you had said that really your mother-in-law's passing pretty much is what set you off on this journey of discovery, um, and wondering, okay, she was alive this second and now she's not. So where did she go? Do you feel that you're any closer now to an answer or a better understanding than you were back then?
Oh, yes. I know that when we leave this physical life, I know that there are other places in the universe that our consciousness goes to,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
There's like infinite dimensions. And I know that there's no such thing as death or dying or, not existing. It's
It's just
just
your physical existence here on this plane no longer exists.
correct. But your consciousness transcends time and space and it goes somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So, we are never disconnected or separated from our departed loved ones because we're all energy and we all
Mm-hmm.
come from the same source and we're all intricately connected. It's just that in this earth plane, we don't understand that. We don't, this is just the makeup of the earth plane, right? It's all about
Well,
individuality.
and I've heard many times over the years that our brains are so much bigger and capable. I mean, we only use a teeny tiny part of our brain and what it can comprehend and what it can understand. In
Right,
some respects, listening to you, I almost feel like you have tapped into another part of your brain that because you were willing to be open to it,
right.
that does put you in a different frame of mind, no pun intended, but at almost a different plane because you're tapping into a part of your brain that most of us aren't willing to go to.
Yeah, and that part of my brain is really the pineal gland.
Mm-hmm.
I really think the pineal gland is, my pineal gland at least is activated,
Mm-hmm.
because when I see into these other dimensions and this other, galactic beings, is really my pineal gland that's being activated, and somehow this, I'm somehow peering into other realities. If you know Dr. Joe Dispenza, have you heard of him?
No, no.
Okay, I would highly recommend Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, because he really goes into detail about the pineal gland and its capabilities to
Mm-hmm.
expand consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
So from the little that I know about Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, I really feel that my pineal gland has been activated by, my
Mm-hmm.
galactic family.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I am able to see them. And maybe, like I said, maybe this is something that I agreed to prior to incarnation.
Now, do you find that when you, excuse me, when you have these experiences, is it while you're sleeping or when you go into like a meditative trance?
Okay, so it's interesting because I can be dead asleep 1 second, right? Because this usually happens in the wee hours of the morning. So I can be dead asleep 1 second, but then when the incoming energy, the high frequency energy comes, it's like my energetic field, they do something to my energetic field. I don't know what they do, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm awake. I'm like,
Mm.
my consciousness is awake, but like it's like my body is still asleep.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like my brain, my mind is awake, and then
Mm-hmm.
I see them with my third eye. And sometimes I telepathically talk to them, and I was like, hello, nice to see you. What are you doing here? And I don't usually get a response,
Mm-hmm.
not
And
yet anyway.
and well, they're building you up to that probably. Um,
Hopefully.
but do you find that then once you come out of this experience, do you find that there's a relaxed feeling, a refreshed feeling? How do you feel physically and emotionally and spiritually once you have had one of these encounters?
Um, really, how do I feel? I feel extremely connected to my galactic family and to the whole universe, if that
Mm.
makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I I kind of take the bigger and higher perspective of my life here on earth. I don't
Mm-hmm.
sweat the small stuff. I
Mm.
don't really get upset anymore. It's like my whole perspective on life has changed.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I know that I'm divinely guided and supported. And so I don't really have much fear in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna say I'm totally fearless. I do
Mm-hmm.
have fear sometimes, but
Mm-hmm.
I process it a lot better now,
Mm-hmm.
because I know, like, these beings that are coming to visit me, I know they're always around me. So
Mm-hmm.
if I do need help, I telepathically ask for help, and I do get my answers
Mm-hmm.
one way or another.
Kind of like in the same way where people believe that they have their guardian angels that
Mm-hmm.
are guiding them and helping them, kind of that same thing.
Right. And
I,
talking about angels, I'm sorry.
no.
Uh, Archangel Michael paid me a visit twice. I just wanted to say that. And that was such a phenomenal experience, because he showed up as a silhouette, right? He was like a black silhouette, like a very shadowy figure. But what stood out to me was his massive, powerful, pure white wings.
Oh, wow.
Right. And
Wow.
um
Did he have a
and
message for you?
no, he was just looking at me, and I don't know why he came. I still don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think he just wanted me to know that he's there.
Well, there's so many things that are running through my mind of what I want to ask you or share with you or whatever. But I think the first thing, kind of listening to you, and I hope that I'm remembering the title of this movie correctly. It's with Jodie Foster, and I think it was called Contact.
Yeah, yeah.
And kind of because I'm working on relating to the story that you are telling, and kind of that experience that when she's been transported in that capsule or whatever, and she gets to wherever that destination is, the being is brought in the form of her father. But just what you've been describing, it's kind of how that I'm imagining of what you are experiencing, but more than that, of what you just conveyed about how you feel once you've had this experience was exactly what Jodie Foster's character in this movie. It's kind of like what she experienced, even though nobody else really believed what she said or understood what she said. She knew that she was a changed person, and because of that, it changed it changed her life totally. She seemed more at peace, and she was okay with
Hmm.
what she did. And so that's how I'm relating a little bit because I even know, like, when I'm reading stories, I create a movie in my head. It helps me to relate to what I am learning. And
Hmm.
that's what I feel has come forward for me, is in how to relate of what you're experiencing. And I think that that's a very beautiful thing, because just like the things that she was seeing with the universe and all of those, the shining little stars or whatever, are all beings or parts of her, or like
Oh yeah,
like you said. I mean,
absolutely.
it's very, very incredible. And what you just said too about the archangel, yours was Michael, correct?
Yeah, correct. Archangel
Um,
Michael.
just a couple months ago, I was Dr. Beverly Lawrence, who was one of my podcast guests, who's become a friend of mine. She was offering a meditation, a 30-day meditation course. And I thought I knew how to meditate, but I really didn't understand it. And so I thought, what, I'm going to take this course. And so I learned so many incredible things. But one of the things that she wanted us to do was she wanted us to listen to this one guided meditation that she had put on YouTube. And so through the guided meditation, she's talking about that we are walking this path, and we see this waterfall ahead of us, and there's a bench. And so we are to sit on the bench and watch and look at the waterfall. And so I mean, I see the path, I see the waterfall, I see the bench, I sit down, and then she guides us through, and she says, and now you see a being coming out of the waterfall. What does the being look like? And well, and this is where I have struggled for years, because I'm thinking, I hear but that people see this stuff or whatever, but it never happens for me. Well, all of a sudden, I see this gentleman, blonde hair, a white robe on. He's almost glowing, and I'm just like, I mean, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is happening. This is really happening. And he doesn't say anything. He
Hmm.
comes over, and she explains, this being is now, comes over and sits next to you on the bench. And I see him sit down on the bench next to me. And she says he has a white box with a ribbon on it, and this being hands you this box with this ribbon. And he hands me this box. And then in the guided meditation, she's talking about open the box and see what's inside. And I see myself opening the box, and in the box on top there is a cross.
Yeah.
And I just look over at him, and I said, so are you telling me, and I said, and she said something about, what is your being's name? And he said, my name is Gabriel.
Oh.
And so I'm thinking, are you the archangel Gabriel? And then I'm thinking, well, maybe maybe I'm just thinking he said it because that's really like the only angel that I know. Like I'm having all these doubts, It's like I'm
Yeah.
trying to disprove what I'm seeing or what I'm feeling, and I don't know why I was doing that. I believe it's my
Yep.
humanness was coming
Yep.
through.
Mm-hmm.
And anyways, when this whole thing got done, I felt like the cross was telling me that my ministry of doing this podcast and the other things that I'm doing, that I am on the right path of what I'm supposed to be doing. But I took it one step further. I thought, I'm going to Google Archangel Gabriel and I want to
Okay.
see what this is all about. Oh my gosh, talking about boom, an aha moment. The Archangel Gabriel is all about teaching and podcasting, speaking. I mean, all of these things that I've done, most of my life, but I've really been concentrating on over the last 2 years.
Oh.
So when you just said that about Michael coming to you, Gabriel didn't say anything to me verbally, but yet he did.
Mm-hmm.
He did on so many levels. And from that moment on, over the last several months, it has changed so much for me on how I look at my humanness. And it kind of has relieved a lot of, like you said, not so much, I'm not really a fearful person per se, but yet it's really calmed doubts and fear and so many other things that go along with it.
Yeah.
It's
You know,
powerful.
oh yeah, absolutely. And also, when we connect with them this way, either through meditation or through my way, through the third eye or whatever, um, they do something to our energetic field because they are extremely high frequency beings.
Mm-hmm.
So for you to kind of connect with them, your frequency needs to rise to meet them, right?
Right,
So
right.
when your frequency has risen to whatever level, you can't really come down. Do you know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Right, yes. Because
Yeah,
it's like you've been at the pinnacle just for a moment in time,
right.
you know. So I know like in the introduction that it you talk about having experience with galactic and angelic beings. Do you see them as being two separate things or kind of the same, or how do you identify one and the other?
Okay, so angelic beings is obviously like, the archangels and your guardian angel kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So galactic beings, I mean more like the physical ETs from other civilizations.
Mm-hmm.
And it can also be non-physical beings like collectives.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, really, there's no separation. We're on this earth plane just differentiating, saying galactic and angelic, but really,
Okay.
there's no difference because
Okay.
we're
They're one
all
and the
one,
same.
right? Well,
Okay.
yes and no.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
The galactics are more about different star systems, different
Mm-hmm.
civilizations,
Mm-hmm.
physical ETs or non-physical collectives, where the archangel is of another frequency, a
Mm-hmm.
different kind of frequency, where they have
Mm-hmm.
different missions. It's just like,
Sure.
yeah, if
Yes.
if
They
that
each
makes
have their
sense.
own roles that they I don't want to say that they're in charge of, but they present different aspects
Yeah.
of the wholeness of everything of the
The
universe.
universal fabric, they have different missions or roles in the universal
Okay.
fabric of everything.
So with you being a transformational coach and helping, women with forgiveness and stuff, is this part of your coaching or uh what is your business? What does that part of your coaching consist of when you are working with people?
Okay, so so my Pristine Soul Healing started out as my Reiki practice,
Mm-hmm.
right? But then a few months in, I felt guided to do life coaching. So I took life coaching classes and I was immediately drawn to forgiveness and transformation coaching. And I really felt guided to help women who are struggling emotionally because of a divorce or, those who have going through a divorce or who have recently divorced and kind of like having a hard time getting their life back on track because they're holding on to toxic emotions. Like how I did
Right.
when I divorced my first husband, you know. So I just felt like women need to understand what forgiveness is and what forgiveness is not. Because I think there's a lot of misunderstanding around forgiveness in modern day society, at least, where, you know, when people think I have to forgive somebody, it's like I am on the losing end. I'm throwing in the towel.
Oh, right.
I am losing this perceived emotional battle,
Right.
right? But in reality, forgiveness is really about you, right? Forgiveness is for you, it's not for the other person.
Right.
And when you want to forgive even yourself or another person, is you letting go of that pain, of that low frequency emotions that don't serve you anymore.
Right.
So really, forgiveness is a gift that you give to yourself. Only you can give it to yourself.
Yes. You know, and not too long ago, I heard someone talking about that when you are holding on to whatever that issue was between you and that other person, it's taking up valuable real estate inside your soul. And when that negativity is taking up that real estate, you have no room to accept joy and happiness
Correct.
and fulfillment of the possibilities of what you should be experiencing every day of your life. And that when you do give forgiveness, that you reopen up that space and you have more room to accept the love and the joy and all of the good things that life has to
Right.
offer you.
Right. And also being an energy healer, I learned that the energetic footprint of negative emotions gets stored in our body. So if we don't process or release this, you know, low frequency emotions, yeah, the energetic footprint is stored in the cells as toxins, right?
Yes. Yes.
So if you keep adding to that toxic emotions, right, every day through your life experiences every day, and hang on, I'm sorry, my earpiece just fell off.
Okay. It's all good.
um, yeah, so if you keep adding to the toxic emotions, sooner or later, physical illness is going to manifest because that energy needs to be released somehow, right? If you're not
Right.
paying attention to the energy, it's going to show up as physical illness for you to finally pay attention and take care of it.
And so through your coaching, that is part then I'm thinking that of what you help people to understand that and help them release that.
Right. So for my coaching programs, I do real world coaching techniques. However, I also blend in the energetics because I think you need both
Mm-hmm.
to facilitate real holistic healing.
Mm-hmm.
So I do my coaching techniques, and then I also incorporate Reiki
Mm-hmm.
as well as light language. Like I mentioned earlier, I studied light language with Jamie Price. She's the queen of light language in the States. Have
Okay.
you heard of her?
No, no.
Okay. So
This
Jamie,
is a whole brand new world you're opening up for me,
oh,
Priscilla.
oh, nice.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, Jamie Price is a phenomenal light language teacher, and I had the pleasure and the honor to learn light language from her. And so, you know, I started channeling light language in 2022, at the end of 2022. After I took that 10-month channeling program from Lisa, the
Mm-hmm.
one that channels the galactic beings.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a 10-month channeling program with her, and that was such a deep and phenomenal class because it's not all about channeling, it's really about self-exploration,
Mm-hmm.
you know, facing the ego, facing self-doubt, facing fear, and how you release all these things.
Right.
And also, you know, working with the body. We do a lot of yoga, breath work. So it was more kind of like developing yourself on a holistic level. And
Mm-hmm.
so I started to really open up when I took Lisa's class. And so, like I said, I started channeling in the middle of like Lisa's class, light language. And also, I've changed so much. Like my diet started to change one morning. I mean, I
Uh,
used to drink coffee. I had to have coffee every
yes.
morning.
Yes.
However, one morning I woke up and I made my coffee. I took one sip of my coffee and I had to spit it out because it was like my body or my higher self was saying, no, 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 no more coffee.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And my diet changed. I quit eating meat and now I'm just more into vegetables and fish and shrimp. I just
Mm-hmm.
feel like my diet is going to a less dense diet, if that
Mm-hmm.
makes
It's
sense.
lighter.
Yeah,
Because your being is feeling lighter and you're consuming things that are lighter.
right. So, now I feel like I'm being guided to, believe it or not, like raw foods, like and liquid diet, raw
Mm-hmm.
liquid diets.
Mm-hmm.
I that kind of appeals to me at this point, and so I'm just gonna go with it.
Mm-hmm. Good.
So yeah, so when you open yourself up spiritually, it's so many changes can happen. Like your
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Real quick, I'd like to add, because I also mentioned in the introduction, that you have your own podcast. And so with that, what is it what is the purpose, passion and purpose behind you doing your podcast? What brought that about?
Okay, so this came about around Christmas time last year. I
Mm-hmm.
was in bed reading a book and I just had this download, or I call it divine inspiration, that just came to me. And I just felt like, I just need to start a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And Patty, I am like the last person to start a podcast because I'm a highly introverted person.
Uh-huh.
I don't really like crowds. I don't like hanging around people. But, when I got this download, it felt so right. And I just had the feeling and the sensation that I needed to step up and start sharing my voice and
Mm-hmm.
collaborate with people and give them the opportunity to share their personal stories of resilience and triumph over
Mm-hmm.
life challenges or past trauma. And together, through my podcast, we can put out positive and empowering energy out into the collective, because there is a lot of people who are struggling at this time. We have two
Yes.
wars going on. We have a lot of stress and anxiety in the collective.
Mm-hmm.
So I am stepping up to collaborate with people and co-create with others so that we can provide value to the collective.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody in the collective is struggling and they listen to my podcast, I hope they can get nuggets of wisdom, information, tools, resources to help them, number one, find their center, and
Mm-hmm.
number two, find their way home.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's really the intention behind my podcast. And my podcast, the name of my podcast did not come from me. It came from somewhere else. I just had the download and it said Resiliency of the Human Spirit podcast. And I thought to myself, that's a pretty cool name.
That's really good.
Right.
Well, and you and I are definitely on the same page with that. If we're going to put something out in the world, we want it to be something that is beneficial to others, to bring hope and joy and inspiration to people, to know that you are not out there by yourself. Whatever it is that you may be facing, your story may be a little bit different than from the people that are the guest on our show. But the main thing is to show you that yes, with those struggles, with those challenges that life offers you, and in your darkest moments, here are these people that they have met those dark moments head on, and they have reached out to somebody else, or found that their higher source, whatever that is, has helped them through those times. And because of that, they are living proof that you too can get through this. That there's people out there willing to
Absolutely.
help you, and there is hope with whatever you are facing.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree. And I am so thankful that you are doing what you're doing because it is such profound work.
Oh, yes, yes. And it's very fulfilling. I mean, I've said it over and over. I feel so very blessed. The people that have been brought into my life, including you, and that you are willing to be vulnerable and tell your story, warts and all, as they say, because you know where you are on your journey now, and that it is possible to get through those dark moments, and also discover what the light is, whatever that light is for you, and
Hmm.
how you can be a light to other people. Shine your brightest light, that's been shown on you, and now shine, pay it forward to other people. And
Right.
that for me, I feel that's the greatest gift of all, is I've had so many incredible people help me along my life's journey, that I know it is my time to be able to pass it forward, pay it forward, to do the same for others.
Right. And I
And that's
really
what it's
think,
about.
yeah, the collective needs to come together now. There's,
Yes.
we've been through so much separation and fear and anxiety, and now it's time for us to just step up and come together and, be there for each other.
Oh, exactly.
Enough of the fighting against each other. We got that.
Yes. Yes,
We don't need that
exactly.
anymore.
Yes, exactly. And I think that, uh, I know for me, and I believe for you, from what I'm learning about you, is it we're all putting things out in the world, whether it's negative or positive. You do have a choice of whether
Correct.
you are putting negative or positive out there. For me, my choice, there's already enough negative. I don't need to add to that. I want to add the positive. And not that life is good and wonderful all the time, but what it does teach me is that whatever the lesson is that's coming my way, I know there is a reason for it. And I know that it is about making me a better, stronger human being. And not only for me to keep that to myself, but to share it with others, to be able to help others in the same situation.
Yeah, I agree. And when we face difficult challenges, the normal way we look at challenges is like it's bad, it's negative, it's out to get me kind of thing. But if we can just shift our perspective to
Yes.
see the gift of the lesson and the valuable lesson in the challenge,
Yes.
it's all about shifting the perspective, and
Yes.
that challenge can work for you. There is a higher purpose in
Yes.
everything that we experience in life.
Yes, exactly. And I think it also comes down to, when you put your head on your pillow at night, can you live with the choices and the things that you chose to do during that day? Did you do a random act of kindness? Did you help somebody? I know this week, every week, I write a newsletter that goes out to my email list. And this week's newsletter is all about service to others, because that's really what it comes down to. I want to be able to take my gifts that I have been given and use them to serve others, so they can also do the same for those people that are in their part of the world. Because I think that that's how we make things better in our world.
Right.
Karma, what you put out in the world, you get back.
Yep. Yep. That's the law of attraction, isn't it?
Most definitely. Most
Yeah.
definitely. Well, and I know that some people would think, well, don't you think that that's kind of competition if somebody's doing the same type of thing that you are? No, I
No.
say, bring the more the merrier. You cannot have enough people putting good out in the world. You just can't.
Yep. If you want to see it as competition, that's your choice. But
Exactly.
how about looking at it as collaboration,
That's exactly right.
co-creation,
Most
right?
definitely. Yes. Yes. I amen to all of that. Okay, so now just a couple little questions I have for you. Um,
Okay.
what would you say is the best piece of advice that anyone has ever given you?
Whoa. Let's see. Be yourself.
Mm,
Let my light shine into the
hmm.
world. I have a light
Yes, you
within
do.
me, so I need to let my light shine and be myself.
Excellent. So what would you say right now at this point in your life that you are passionate and you're passionate about personally and professionally?
Patty, I really gotta say that it's my podcast
Mm,
because
good.
I feel that this is coming from a higher place. And I feel like this is something that I came here to do, to share my voice, and like what you're doing, sharing your
Hmm.
voice and putting positive and empowering energy out into the collective, because we're here on earth, you know, at this present time for a good reason. We're
Yes.
witnessing the shift in consciousness on the
Hmm.
earth plane, and you know, we all came here to help with that shift.
Yes.
So I think, honestly, I am doing what I came here to do, and I'm gonna keep at it until I check out of here, you
You
know.
go, girl. That's right. That's exactly right. So what would you say is your purpose personally and professionally?
My purpose is to be of service to the collective. And
Hmm.
my purpose is also to be of service to myself, because like self-love and self-care,
Hmm.
because if,
Hmm.
if I don't take care of myself, I am not going to be of service to anybody.
Exactly. Yep, definitely. So, Priscilla, what would you say is your superpower?
My superpower, wow. You know what? I This word comes to mind: organization. I love to
Mm.
organize.
Ah,
It
that is
brings
a
me
superpower.
much joy when I
Um,
organize things.
excellent. That's very good. How would you say that you are living your best life, or as I call it, living your best dash?
Yeah, I'm living my best dash right now because I'm stepping up and answering the call of the universe,
Hmm.
and I'm fulfilling what I came here to do, and I'm not afraid of it. I,
Yeah.
I I'm just letting my light shine, and I'm just being myself, and leaving my own legacy behind,
That's
right?
exactly right. Yes, you are, and you're doing a great job with that. Well, are there any final thoughts or words of wisdom that you would like to share with our audience?
Um, I will leave the audience with this message. I would love for the audience to find coherence within themselves. Take time to find coherence within yourself every day. Because when you have coherence and peace within yourself, you will radiate it out to other people within your family, within your community, and other people are gonna radiate that out.
Hmm.
What would I say?
It's
It's
the ripple
like
effect.
ripple effect. And you're just being yourself, emanating peace by action, not
Mhm.
by words. It's really by action, by being yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, it was one of the things that I used to teach my leadership students, when I would ask them, okay, what does the word communication mean to you? Well, right away, it's like, oh, talking. And I said, do you realize that you actually communicate more non-verbally than you do verbally? And it's
Hmm.
powerful what you relay to others in a nonverbal way with your body language and all of that. It's very,
Right.
very powerful.
And energetically too.
Oh, yes. Yes, most
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Well, Priscilla, I cannot thank you enough for this time. It has flown by so quickly, and your story is fascinating. It is eye-opening, and it has expanded my horizons in ways that I anticipated, but didn't really know that it would exceed my expectations. So thank you so much for being here and sharing your story.
Thank you, Patty, for having me. I am so grateful to be here and to have the honor to connect with you. And
Mhm.
thank you for all you do for all of us. It is so profound. And thank you. Thank you
Well,
again.
thank you. I know that Priscilla, I know there's going to be people that will want to reach out with to you and connect with you. So, can you tell our audience how they can get in contact with you?
The best way is to contact me on my website. I have a contact form on there, and my website is www.pristinesoul, healing.com.
Okay. And for those of you that are listening, or whether you're watching on YouTube right now, especially if you've been a constant follower, you know, if you go to the description right now of this episode, you will see that contact information that Priscilla just mentioned to you. So just click on that link and it will take you directly to her, and you can contact her and talk with her and learn more about how she can help transform your life and reveal to you some of the gifts that you have to make this world a better place. So once again, Christine or Priscilla, thank you for being here today and being my guest.
Thank you, Patty. I appreciate it. Thank you.
So for all of you out there listening, remember to subscribe and follow this podcast and invite your family and friends to also subscribe to it as well. And you know what? Hey, while you're at it, go ahead and hit that 5-star rating and write a review. That would be very awesome. Don't forget to check out my website at www.pathwayswithpatty.org and sign up for a Zoom chat with me or to get my Pathway to a New Beginning roadmap. So until we meet again, continue living your best dash and know that life's an adventure, and I want you to enjoy the journey because your life matters. Thank you for joining us today, and may God bless you all.